He said he spoke with the surgeon who worked on Charlie in the hospital, and they were talking about the exit wound. So Colvett was saying that there was no exit wound, but he said he spoke with the surgeon who worked on Charlie. He said the bullet absolutely should have gone through, but it didn't go through. Charlie's body stopped it. They did find the bullet just beneath the skin, he says. And
each round in the rifle contained an etched inscription as follows. The fired cartridge was etched, no Tice's bulge, OWO, what's this? The second, hey fascist, catch, with arrow symbols. The third cartridge, oh Bella Chow, Bella Chow, Bella Chow, Chow Chow. The fourth cartridge, if you read this, you are gay, LMAO.
Did you know that the firearm found in the woods still had a single fired round inside it, and that the fired round had the words "Notices bulge, OWO, what's this?" engraved on it? I'll get to the meaning of the meme in a second, but you have to wonder, engraving 5 words on a single round, that's 24 separate letters, did that have any impact on the round itself? Could the engraving have created defects in the round, which in turn sapped the round of its energy, which may also have impacted the muzzle velocity? Is this one of the reasons why the round did not exit, why the round was still found embedded beneath Charlie Kirk's skin? And could these engravings, these defects, explain the lack of an exit wound?
I got nightmares in my head, I fear thoughts build up until I can't feel. My mind fills up into a creature, and it haunts me somewhere much deeper. I got nightmares in my head, I fear.
So what do you think? Could these engravings, these defects, explain the lack of an exit wound? Well, yes.
Possibly.
Because defects and dents in a cartridge case or bullet can alter the bullet's trajectory by affecting the muzzle velocity, the cartridge power, or the bullet's exit from the firearm. Dents to the case can straighten after firing, but if they cause the projectile to be pushed back into the case, which is called bullet setback, it can create a pressure spike and a downward shift in the point of impact. How a damaged casing can affect trajectory? Well, bullet setback, degradation of the cartridge power. Other factors that may be at work here are internal ballistics. The primary concern for the defective round is how it behaves within the firearm itself. If the damage to the casing affects the way the cartridge ignites or the pressure generated, the bullet can behave erratically when it leaves the barrel, and isn't that exactly what happened here? Now, if we look at all 4 of these cartridges, all of them had etched inscriptions on them. We also know that the rifle, the ammunition rounds, and towel were sent for forensic processing. So we know that the authorities had these in their possession. Not only the rifle, but the rounds as well. That's really important. That's a part that I think's been underestimated. And then also the towel in which the rifle was wrapped. That has also been very vastly underestimated. DNA consistent with Robinson's was found on the trigger, on other parts of the rifle, on the fired cartridge casing, and then also on 2 of the 3 unfired cartridges and on the towel. In this analysis, we want to investigate the likelihood of the round not passing through Charlie Kirk's body, but without changing the trajectory and without imagining it hitting bone or something similar. But before we get to that, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do. By the way, I'm also covering, concurrent to this analysis, I'm covering another case, a very mysterious disappearance of a 4-year-old boy in South Australia. So you might want to have a look at that. Then also the McCanns and some of their children have been testifying in court in the UK to deal with a stalker issue, which is also quite interesting. That's playing out right now and over the next couple of weeks in the UK. So look out for that. If you're finding this analysis worthwhile, please do hit the thanks button and let's get started. Alright, so in terms of the number 9 clue we all missed, we are looking at the ballistics evidence. Now in terms of the meme itself, do you notice it makes a reference to the word bulge? And we saw the back of Kirk's shoulder and neck area bulge and balloon outward. Is there a connection? Is that a coincidence, or was that something the shooter predicted, knowing what type of round he was using? And I have said this before, if a soft point round was used, and these are typically used by hunters, if a soft point round was used which is designed to transfer energy quickly and dissipate as soon as it makes contact with soft tissue, with its target, well, there's a quick transfer of energy and a dissipation of energy. It may be that the shooter didn't want a bullet that hit Charlie Kirk to pass through him and risk hitting someone else.
He said the bullet absolutely should have gone through, but it didn't go through. Charlie's body stopped it. He said, quote, "It was an absolute miracle that someone else didn't get killed." They did find the bullet just beneath the skin.
So what I'm getting at is this idea of a miracle could actually be by design, that the shooter, bear in mind, a lot of the students who would be asking Charlie Kirk questions could actually be students who are not supporters of him, and possibly the shooter was aware of this and didn't want to injure someone who is essentially on his side. Now, what else do we know about soft point rounds? Well, they feature a jacketed bullet with an exposed soft lead nose that expands upon impact, creating a larger wound channel for increased effectiveness on game and for defense. The exposed lead initiates mushrooming, where the bullet's nose flares out, increasing its diameter and energy transfer. So is the reference to bulge in the engraving also a sly reference to what the shooter expected the soft round to do on impact? At this point, I don't think it's been confirmed that a soft round was used. I'm suggesting that that is what is likely. And this inference is based in part on the terms used in this meme referring to a bulge. That is the number 9 clue we all missed. Now, we also know Robinson's DNA was found not only on the fired round, but on 2 of the 3 unfired cartridges as well. The fact that the slug has been retrieved means investigators will be able to categorically determine whether the firearm in the woods fired that slug or not. One way they could do this is fire additional rounds from the alleged firearm, collect them, and compare the slugs to the one retrieved from Charlie Kirk's body. The fact that they actually have the firearm and they have the slug means that there's virtually no wiggle room to get out of the question, was this firearm used? Because it can be traced back, it can be identified using ballistics analysis of the slug. We saw this exact process, ballistics analysis, play out in the Rust incident, where a claim was made that the bullet either wasn't a live round or could have been a defective dummy round. Well, the slug proved it was a live round and that it was fired by the firearm in Alec Baldwin's hand. In the Caitlin Armstrong case, they were also able to prove one firearm fired several shots, whereas another did not. And they did this, they were able to identify the firearm used using ballistics analysis. Have a look at this excerpt from CBS Austin. The state called Steve Aston a firearms and tool mark expert. He was asked at length about his training and the work he did in this case. Aston said that he was provided 3 fired cartridges from the scene and 2 firearms. Through his analysis, he was able to match Armstrong's Sig Sauer pistol to the cartridges and eliminate the gun belonging to her partner, Colin Strickland. Aston pointed out multiple fine lines or stria to jurors, saying that the test-fired projectiles were a match for those collected at the scene. He pointed out agreement in multiple photographs. We also know Tyler Robinson's roommate, Lance Twiggs, apparently witnessed Robinson actually engraving the bullets. Remember how I was engraving bullets? The messages are mostly big meme. If I see notices bulge UW on Fox News, I might have a stroke. And isn't that exactly what happened? Another possible factor for the bullet not exiting is simply the age of the firearm. The older the firearm, potentially the better the chance of defects or weaknesses in the firing mechanism. Besides the shell casings found inside the weapon, and possibly alongside the weapon, investigators also found shell casings with engravings inside Robinson's residence. Interestingly, a lot of the evidentiary fabric in this case was present in the prosecution of Caitlin Armstrong. That's a murder trial I attended in person in Austin, Texas, almost 2 years ago now, in November 2023. For example, number 1, CCTV footage of the suspect's vehicle in the area. That's one element the prosecution used to prosecute to successfully convict Caitlin Armstrong. Number 2, the bullet from the crime scene, the one recovered from, was matched to the suspect's firearm. And so we have the same thing here. The bullet from the crime scene, the one recovered from Charlie Kirk, as well as those from the wooded area, will they match those from the alleged shooter's home? Number 3, disguising his identity. Armstrong used a false identity. Robinson allegedly did something similar. He changed his clothing at the scene, avoided being seen on the CCTV camera. All of these are possibly signs of guilty knowledge. Number 4, witnesses will say the suspect spoke about his feelings, intentions, and motivations. For those who think it's unheard of that someone who commits murder tells a third party that they intend to kill someone and then do it, well, it happened in the Caitlin Armstrong case. In this case, we not only have Robinson professing a strong animus against Kirk before the fact, but he confessed to taking him out after the fact, not only to his roommate, but apparently to his parents as well, and in writing. And then 5th and finally, the digital footprint. Now, although Strava featured strongly in the Caitlin Armstrong case, along with Armstrong's browser history, I think Robinson's activity on Discord, as well as his texts, are going to be pretty compelling and difficult to refute. Now, consider this. If you've got DNA of the alleged shooter on the fired round that is still in the weapon, and you're able to trace the slug that killed Charlie Kirk back to this fired round, how on earth are you going to make a case that anyone but the alleged shooter, Tyler Robinson, committed this crime? And I think anyone who's trying to make some kind of case to the alternative is smoking something. Any questions? Thank you for listening, and I'll see you guys next time.